Yo everybody, it's me, Screen, and welcome back to the Anime Tourist Trap Trip vacation video where I went on and tried to do as many crazy anime-related tourist traps as possible in Japan in a single week. So, I woke up pretty jet-lagged the next morning after staying the night in the Robot Hotel, which I reviewed in the last video. And so, first things first, after arriving to Japan, I immediately went on an immediate pilgrimage to Odaiba Diver City to see the Gundam Unicorn statue and the mall that sits behind it, containing the Gundam base Tokyo. Now, this was entirely a strategic choice on my part because as I was traveling through Tokyo, Odaiba lay strategically between Haneda and Tokyo, and long story short, I went on this entire trip through Japan in a giant circle. So this was my one time I had to go there on the path I was going on. I guess I should also mention that across the way from Diver City is Sega Joypolis, the Sega arcade/studio theme park that I went to 15 years ago to play a really strange, badly executed live-action version of the Phoenix Wright video game, specifically the crime scene examination part, where you just kind of have to find murder clues inside a cluttered room. And across the way on the other side of the street is Fuji TV, which I did a video about before, and I think that video has been suppressed and self-joked out by the algorithm, so if you want to see some dirty things that Fuji TV did, here's a link. But anyway, I wasn't there to see any of that because I'd seen it already, and also I don't think Fuji TV allows random people from the public to enter the building. I was simply there to see the Unicorn Gundam statue in its full glory, and overall I'm kind of glad I took time out of my day here to go and do that because it ended up being really cool.
この番組はヨランのスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Anyway, alright, so this is my one time witnessing the Gundam Unicorn statue, and I'm pretty glad I saw it. Here's why this matters. The first time I ever traveled to Japan in my life was to witness the completion of the Shizuoka RX-78-2 and the first 1/1 scale Gundam constructed at the Bandai factory in Shizuoka. This Gundam eventually moved to Diver City where it stood for a few years until it got old and rusty. When it got old and rusty, it was disassembled, and if my lore is right, pieces of it were then recycled and then put into the moving Gundam at Yokohama, and that Gundam also got old and rusty because it was right next to the ocean, so that was then disassembled and recycled again for the Gundam Pavilion at the Osaka World's Fair. So by the rules of the ship as Theseus, the Shizuoka RX-78 barely exists as it's now been rebuilt 4 different times in 4 different places and looks completely different. And somehow it now lives in Osaka, unless I'm wrong and the Osaka Gundam is actually a completely different Gundam, and really doesn't actually contain the parts from the Shizuoka Gundam. I also want to say, despite the Unicorn Gundam being a pretty signature landmark of Tokyo, having appeared in such beloved films like Pacific Rim 2, to Ring 2 Furious, I'm a tad concerned right now that maybe the Unicorn Gundam is not long for the world. See, the Unicorn's signature thing is that it lights up at night and it transforms between its NTD mode and its non-awakened Unicorn mode. But as the statue is now pushing 10 years of age, it's definitely had more and more mechanical problems over the years, having weathered its way through a few typhoons and a few floods, and when I got there it had a situation where the arms just simply would no longer transform, and my understanding is that the arm mechanisms have been broken for quite a while, and they either can't or won't fix it. As a result, there's currently an unconfirmed conspiracy online that the Unicorn Gundam is not long for this world, especially as the Gundam Unicorn anime itself has waned in public consciousness in terms of relevance. It hasn't had a new episode in like over 10 years after all, and the ongoing theory right now is that eventually the Unicorn will be knocked down and replaced with a totally different Gundam. Maybe the G-Quux, maybe something else. Maybe the Gundam Mark II. Nah, that would be a downgrade. Anyway, nothing's been officially announced, but the fact that they've gotten lax about fixing the thing is probably a bad sign. Now, looking carefully at the picture I took, I can see 2 of the panels are ajar, but they otherwise seem to be collected, and anyway, due to our busy schedule, we weren't able to stay at Diver City to the night to check out the Transformation Night Show. But anyway, here's the photo I took of it from behind and from above, where you got a bunch of women cringing in the side in the 110-degree heat. Now, I tried to talk to these women about what the hell they were doing and what the hell was going on, and I got an unclear answer that they were just lined up outside to buy cosmetics or something. Now, what the heck is that? What the heck were they waiting outside half the day in the 100-degree sun for? Who the hell knows? Anyway, yeah, I might as well also talk about how I got this picture. I got this incredible seat at the La Ohana Hawaiian restaurant on the 6th floor of Diver City, which parked me relatively right behind the head of the Unicorn Gundam. And the food there was also super amazing and super cheap. Since we were very jet-lagged, we ironically immediately wanted American-style breakfast, and this is probably one of the only places in Tokyo that had it. I also got handed to this place as having maybe the cheapest smoothies in the world right now at the low cost of less than 500 yen. All right, so Unicorn Gundam aside, what else did we do in Diver City? Well, mostly frivolous shopping, as Diver City is, after all, a shopping mall. Diver City is also the otherwise newest and most popular mall in Tokyo, and yeah, we were definitely in Tokyo to shop, especially for t-shirts. It's always been one of my personal philosophies that Tokyo t-shirts put American t-shirts to shame, and there was a cool-ass cyberpunk pop-up store for both the game and the anime that had some seriously badass t-shirts. A couple of other shops also had t-shirts and anime junk, and some of my friends just went nuts buying a bunch of anime figures, which I was like, no, we just got here. You're going to have to lug that around all week. There was also a functional Toys R Us selling weird Japanese-style Toy Story figures that I thought was weird as hell. There was like a Samurai Woody guy. And we almost bought some Pokemon merch, but the Pokemon merch was just too expensive at this place. I will say, though, that Diver City, being a tourist trap mall, made it a mall that was kind of full of foreigners. I probably saw more foreigners collected in one place in Diver City than any other place in Tokyo. I would almost say there were more foreigners in Diver City than there were Japanese people. Like, the One Piece store was packed, there were a few other random Japanese souvenir shops, and probably the best and coolest store, in my opinion, in Diver City ended up being the Tokyo Godzilla store. So Godzilla is pretty big business all over Japan, and I was honestly pretty pleased on this trip how often I saw the big G-Man and gift shops related to him over the course of this trip. I saw other Godzilla stores in Saitama, Kabukicho, and Kyoto, but in my personal opinion, Diver City's Godzilla store was the absolute best one with the largest variety of Godzilla stuff. And again, since I came to Japan mostly to buy t-shirts, I bought this dank as hell Vaporwave Godzilla shirt. I thought it was the most preposterous thing they were selling, and it was pretty fucking dumb. Now, I also ended up grabbing some cheaper Pokemon shirts at the Japanese Uniqlo, and that was kind of it. I guess overall, Diver City is super worth visiting because it just has so many cool and good anime stores, and the prices are overall fair. I guess you might consider it a tourist trap, but in the long scheme of things I saw in Japan, I would say at least they were actively inviting foreigners to go there, and I guess I'd consider this one of the better tourist traps. The Unicorn Gundam statue was worth visiting because it's a technological marvel, and I'm a little bit concerned that they might close or retire it someday soon. However, the trip to Odaiba wasn't all flowers and roses because at the top of Diver City is where the Gundam base Tokyo, Japan lay, and long story short, that went bad. It went so bad that that's its own video. To be continued.